I just finished reading Vagabond, the first 100 chapters, and I gotta say this is definitely one of my top 5 manga series that I've read so far. Character development with Miyamoto Musashi, of course. Something about Vagabond that I really love is the numerous amount of themes that they have within the series. Musashi is about living and dying and trying to figure out which one matters most to him, because throughout most of the series so far he's been on the side of I don't care if I die. But obviously one of the biggest arcs is with Ine, his first big master. Fighting Inshun, also known as Shinosuke, is really where he kind of learned for both characters that living is important. He lost himself at certain points, but also how he's kind of matured a little bit, even though by the end of the fight he's pretty much killing him at that point. Musashi has grown obviously from the beginning when he was called a demon child, and how he was always on the run and always trying to kill everybody even though he was just a little kid. Behind me I put a couple post-its of topics I thought about throughout reading the first 100 chapters. And the first one was obviously about Matahachi versus Musashi. Both of them coming from the same village and seeing them grow and change whenever they meet up. And eventually I expect them to fight next time they meet up. They're probably going to square up. Part of that is also the different types of journeys that both characters have taken so far. I mean, we see Matahachi, who's kind of become, from the beginning, he's kind of always been a follower of Musashi, but also we see him kind of become more of a shell of himself in certain ways. Obviously he gave in to being with this woman instead of being with Otsu. His full path so far, and then now recognizing him wanting to go back into his hometown village and trying to get back with Otsu. But obviously we know that Musashi's really into her, even though he's always put himself in situations where he really wants to get with her, but at the same time he kind of blocks that way in his mind and in his heart and soul, to be honest, because we see him grow in terms of strength, but he still has that kind of stoic and no one is gonna get in my way type of mentality. We're gonna see if he kind of matures with that, or if he's eventually gonna show some signs of opening up to Otsu and kind of if he wishes to settle down or not eventually. The beginning of the story of the granny search of Matahachi, and also how that's kind of impacted the story and how she kind of views both characters, because she obviously wants to kill Musashi, and then she also wants to kill Matahachi, but for different reasons. With these characters of Granny and Otsu, and also of Takuan, the monk, from where Musashi's from. So I think these characters are gonna be always that calling card of here's back to home, here's where we're from for Matahachi and Musashi. But for Takuan, he's kind of always gonna be the first mentor that he's kind of met, and teaching them these ways of how to mature and how to kind of not only focus on fighting and trying to become the best, because obviously from the very first arc we see how he's already drastically changed the life of Musashi just by changing his name from Takezo. He's gonna be in and out of the series. So far I'm only 100 chapters deep, so I can't wait to see more of him in the story, because I think he's one of the main factors in terms of developing Miyamoto Musashi's character even more spiritually, and just kind of on his journey throughout the whole series. If he's going to continue to get stronger, I'm guessing at some point I think he'll meet him again. I wouldn't be surprised if the monk is he used to be or is still one of the strongest people, but he's kind of turned his life completely different up to this point in the story. I'm curious as to how he's going to play further into the story. If he's going to be an even bigger character, or if he's just going to play this mentor situation for now. What I have is called Masters, and this is another theme I've seen throughout the story so far. Miyamoto so far has met so many different mentors in his life. Even though we're only 100 chapters in, we've seen Takuan the monk, and we've also seen Ine in the third arc, fighting against Inshun, a way to view obviously the fighting skills and obviously the way of the spear and learning all that and being back in the mountains and training just to fight Inshun. Musashi himself is now becoming a mentor and technically a master towards Jotaro. See all these dynamics, and obviously it comes from like almost like a system of, if you want to be into the next fighter and the next best thing, you kind of have to have a master. With all these clans, we've seen so many different masters so far. Every single time they've kind of opened up a different outlook of life for Musashi, and I'm curious what more masters we're gonna meet outside of Ine, the Yagyu master, where Otsu is. So I think he's gonna provide another stepping stone for Musashi's character. The arc of the Hozoin, of the fighting with the spears, and obviously the character of Inshun, also known as Shinosuke, and Master Ine. Main themes in this arc, and I think it's the best arc so far, was living versus dying. Also because he met a threat strong enough from Musashi, and that was like another lesson for him. But yeah, Inshun was one of my favorite. He's not really an antagonist to me. He's just like another sparring partner, mentally and spiritually, for him. Even though he wins, is obviously a lesson for Musashi, and a lesson. Even though I thought it was a little bit of a cop-out for him to not die at the end. I thought it was like kind of left like the story in a way that, I mean, we could see this character again eventually, but also felt like if he had died, it could have been a little bit more impactful, at least for me. Obviously, with each growing arc and how his kind of personality either changes or if it's going to be the same of just wanting to be the strongest, obviously being invincible. The last topic I have is about the setting in Japan. Obviously it's beautifully drawn by Inoue. Obviously we get the mountains, and then we get obviously like the small towns that we see in Japan. And it's kind of interesting how he draws them, and obviously getting like the different types of seasons and the weather, the fall, and then the rain when he's training in the forest. It kind of adds even more of an epic surrounding for Musashi and the story, which I really enjoy. It's going to be really interesting how that impacts the rest of the story and how that develops even further with meeting new characters and meeting recurring characters as well. Thank you guys for watching. Obviously I'm going to come back and continue reading Vagabond. I'm probably going to drop when I finish reading the next 100 chapters of Vagabond. Maybe try to read it all in a day, we'll see, but I'm going to definitely continue with the stories. Great characters, great protagonists, and kind of learning these new lessons as the story progresses is kind of always the most interesting part of the story to me so far. I'm sure I'm going to enjoy it the further and further I go. So again, thank you guys for watching.